Should be back now. Okay, there we go. Hello, friend. My name is Ron from cammastery.com, where you can go to learn how to make great videos with Camtasia. I just did a whole live stream and realized that I forgot to actually send the stream. So it was just absolutely flawless and will never be recreated. No, just kidding. I ran into multiple technical difficulties, and so I thought, well, why not just try this again? So here I am. I'm, a little bit later than I would typically do this, but that's okay. I want to answer your questions. So what I do is just about every Sunday, I get together with you so that you can see some answers to your questions. And I collect questions from folks who are my student at my Camtasia Mastery course. And one thing to note before I forget, I won't be here next week. I'm traveling with family, so no video next week, but that's okay. I should be there the week after that. So today, 3 things I want to go through. 1, text watermark. 2, picture-in-picture. And 3, rule of thirds. So let's talk about the text watermark first. The question that came in was about using a logo for a watermark, and someone saying, hey, can I use text like a logo? Can I do that inside Camtasia? So let's jump over to Camtasia, take a look at this. And inside Camtasia, we're going to come back to that in just a moment. Inside Camtasia, if I wanted to produce this, I would say export, local file, custom, next, next, next. And here I have a place to include a watermark. Okay, so this person was saying, yeah, that works, but only for an image. So can you make text like an image? And I said, well, yeah, you could do that, but you can't really do that inside Camtasia. Instead, we have to do that inside GIMP. So GIMP is the GNU image manipulation program. It's free software. You can download it. I think it's gimp.org to get more information about that. So I opened up GIMP. I went to File, New, and then you decide how big of a file you want to create. So maybe I want to do something that is, my logo in the lower left is probably going to be something like, 300 by 200. I don't know. Pick whatever makes sense for you. I'll click OK. And so here is my image, right? It's not very exciting right now. Next thing I need to do is go up to Layer, and I need to add transparency. So I'll go to Transparency and say Add Alpha Channel. And that just makes it so that there is a transparent aspect to my image. So I'm going to click that. And then after I click that, I want to get rid of the black background that's there now. So I'm just going to press the Delete key on my keyboard, and now it's gone. So you see this checkerboard pattern? That's fine. The checkerboard is just trying to show you that it's not really going to show anything in the background. So it's just saying this is transparent. Whatever is behind this image, you'll be able to see. So I created the image, I added transparency, deleted the background, and now I just need to add some text. So I'll go over here to the text tool. I'll click that, and then I'll come in here and I'll click, and you probably want something like your name, like Ron Hogue. Of course, it helps if you spell your name correctly. And you probably want your website, cammastery.com, for example. Now that isn't fitting in here, and that's okay. I don't mind that. Instead, I will select all this text, and I'll just make it smaller so it does fit. So we'll drop it down. That might be too small, but let's see. We'll Control Z to undo that. Let's grab this edge and drag it in to here. Almost there. There we go. Ron Hogue, cammastery.com. That's it. So that's all I needed to do. And so now I have my name and my website here in an image file. Of course, there's some blank space here at the bottom and at the top. In fact, since I know I want it to be at the bottom, I'm going to just slide this part down. There we go. So I want this to be at the bottom. That looks good. Now, to fix this, or to finish this, I should say, I need to export it. So File, Export. Make sure it is being saved as a PNG file. So we are going to call this text water for text watermark. And I'll click Export and say Export again. You can't quite see that, so I'll zoom out. So I said Export first down here and then Export here. So now it is exporting that to the folder I want. And to show you what that looks like, let's go here to the end. Actually, we don't even need to go to the end. I can just grab that from my folder. So let's go to my folder and find my text water, and I'll pull it over, and there it is. That's it. So I just want this, like in the lower left, for example. So now that's tiny. I might want that actually a little bigger than that. But anyway, I'll delete that from here because I don't want it on Camtasia. I want it to be produced with Camtasia. So to do that, I'm going to go up to Export, Local File, and I'll say, yes, I want custom production settings. So I will go to Next. Let's just zoom back out of that. We'll go Next, Next, Next. And then here I would check this box for Include Watermark. And then I'll go to its options. So here in the options, what I want to do is first tell it where that file is. And so we say, go to the text water file right here. So I can double click that if I want, or click it and then go to OK. And then I see a preview of it down here. And I say, oh, let's bring that up to about here. Well, let's bring it a little more to the left. And how big do I want that? Maybe I want it a little bigger than it really was. So, maybe 30% or something like that. So you get to decide all those changes. If you want it to be more solid or almost completely invisible, you can do that. Keeping it around 50% is good. You might want it closer to 2/3. Sure, we could do that. And click OK. And then we have that. So that's showing us what that watermark will look like. That will be on our screen throughout the entire video whenever we produce this file. Now, I'm not going to produce this video file, but I did want to show you if you needed to create a text watermark that's actually an image, we just do that in GIMP, create a new file, add transparency, delete the background, add your text, and export as a PNG. If you do all those things, your text can be right there as a watermark, as an image. Okay, on to question 2. Question 2 is about picture-in-picture. So this student asks about putting, being able to see their instructor throughout the entire tutorial. So let's try that inside Camtasia. I will cancel out of this. So here you can see this is me as the instructor. I will put myself back here in the center, and I'll bump this up a little bit because behind me, I want to have some sort of screen recording. So I'll grab a screen recording and put that here behind me. So what I would do is, as I'm addressing the camera, I would just stay here full screen. I like to start full screen. And then somewhere around this point is where I'm going to turn and go to my screen. So I would go wherever I'm starting to. So right around here, I'm going to select that video. This is the camera video. And I'm going to do a Shift A. So I'm adding an animation. And what I want is I want this to be my entire video, but shown here. So what this person did was they had their image off to the side like this, and it was about like this. So maybe a little smaller than that. Look at your scale, 30%, that sounds good. Try and make those nice, easy, even numbers. You don't want something like, 32.7. So 30% actually looks pretty good. Couple of other things I would do. So the first thing I did was I scaled it. Second thing, I slid it around. I moved it here. The next thing I want to do is I'm not even looking in the right direction. I want to look in the correct direction. So I'm going to flip myself around. So with this video selected, I'm going to change my y-axis and flip me around 180 degrees. Now I'm looking in the right area. Okay, so that works better. The other thing is it looks like I'm looking up a little bit. So it might make more sense for me to be down here rather than at the top like the example video had. And then lastly, I would probably trim some of the darker parts of the image, the edges. So I'm going to hold down the Alt key and just trim this in to like my shoulder. Do the same thing here, still holding down Alt. You can hold down the Option key on your Mac, and then I'll just slide this here. So let's look at what this is like. So I'm here full screen, I'm talking to you, and then I say, hey, let's go over and look at what I need to do. And here I am walking through, talking about whatever I'm doing. And I'll go ahead and pause this. In the example that was given, this person just stays on screen the whole time like that. That's fine. What I prefer though is starting full screen and then coming back to full screen. So to do that in Camtasia, once I'm done with this, wherever I am, like somewhere around here, wherever the end of this would be, I would add another animation. And the easiest way to do that is to go to Animations and choose the Restore animation. So I'll just grab Restore, throw that back, and now when I play through this, I'm talking, and then it flips back, and then I would be looking at the screen. All right, now this video doesn't correspond, my camera video doesn't correspond with my screen recording, so it's not exactly perfect. That's okay, you get the idea. So very easy to do that picture-in-picture style. And that is just, taking that image, adding, or video or whatever it is, adding an animation and then scaling it down, trimming it if you need to, using the Alt key to trim out any unnecessary space, flipping it around the Y-axis if you need to look the other direction as an example. I think, and then slide it around on the screen wherever you want to. So that is the way that I would add those as a picture-in-picture. Now, next, I wanted to show you something about the rule of thirds. So I'm going to go back to Camtasia, and I am, I'll just move this out to the side here. What I wanted to do was I wanted to add a shape. I wanted to add, thinking about like my camera here, I wanted to put some text here on the left. So I would normally do something like this. I like, rule of thirds says try and break things up into thirds. And specifically, like even on this presentation, it should be that items of interest are at the thirds. So for example, if I look at the top thirds, my eyes should be somewhere around the top thirds of my video. If we have lower thirds, we would add something like our name and website as a lower third, and that appears in that lower section of the video. So, putting things in thirds, that's fine. Things in thirds on either side, that's fine too. And like I said, putting items of interest along those lines or intersections of those thirds is a great way to make things look visually appealing. So I wanted to do the same thing. Over in Camtasia, I said I want to put, maybe a text box or some text over here on the left or on the right. So what I would do is, I wanted to create this. I'll just delete it for now because we just want to start over from scratch. I went to my annotations. I went to Shapes tab at the top. And then I went to bold because I like nice square corners. And I grabbed this and I said, oh, it's something like, something like this. Only I want it to be over top. There we go. So something like in this ballpark. Now, if you remember, Camtasia, the latest version of Camtasia 2020, leaves us the ability or allows us to put in a specific width. So here I can see that I put that width at 682. Now, if you aren't sure what the exact third is for your screen, grab the calculator and say, okay, what is this? Well, it's 1920 across, and I want 1/3 of that. So if I divide by 3, I get 640. Okay, so Ron was close. So what I want this width to be is 640. Now, as of this recording, for whatever reason, it reduces the number by 1. So let me show you what I mean. I'm going to zoom in here so you can see this very clearly. I'm going to type 640. That's the number I want. When I press enter, it reduces it by 1. Why? Not sure. I'm pretty sure TextMyth will fix that relatively soon, but it makes it 639. So I say, okay, well, I really want 640, so I'm going to type 641, 641, press enter, and then it makes it 640. Perfect. That's what I want. So that is an exact 1/3 on my screen. So that allows me to use exactly 1/3 of my screen for text. I can do the same thing with the width, or I'm sorry, doing the top and bottom, I should say. So I could grab another rectangle, do something similar where I come all the way across the top and I say, oh, somewhere, Ron said his eyes should be right around 1/3. Let's see how close we are. So there it says the height is 378. If I did the math correctly, 360 is where I want it to be. So I'll type 361, press enter, it makes it 360. And now, if I go here, now I have that perfect third along the top and along the bottom. So I can use this to lay out my videos so that they are visually appealing. So that was pretty close, actually, with my eyes being there at that third. The last thing I want to show you in regard to these thirds, and I'll mention that if you happen to be joining me live, and again, sorry that we started a little late because of technical difficulties, but if you happen to be joining me live and you have a question, right now is the time to put that into chat, and I will check back with you very shortly. So let's go back over. What I wanted to do inside Camtasia was I wanted to create a third on the right. And instead of having it be a rectangle, which is completely fine, I actually wanted more of like an arc, like a circle. So what I did was I grabbed this circle and I dragged this in. Now I'm going to drag this up above so I can see it. And I want to make this as big as possible. So I'm going to use the scroll wheel on my mouse to scroll down. And then I'm going to hold down the Shift key to make sure this stays circular. If I don't hold down Shift, then it doesn't do that. And then I just drag this out as large as I can possibly make it. So this is it. It goes out as big as it'll go. I think it goes to like 4096, I think, is the largest it does by default. So I want it to be something like this. So now I'm going to zoom back in, right? And that, well, yeah. So I want it something like this, just a little bit different. Instead of having the rectangle there, I want a circle. Okay. So if I want that to be exactly at the thirds, then I'll drag my third rectangle here and I'll grab my circle until it snaps. So you can see it snaps right there. I can put it right there, and that is a perfect third. Now, the other thing that I wanted to do was having it there like centered in the middle, so that the edge of that comes in, right at the center of my video. I thought, well, what if I offset it, make it a third? So make this that side of it just one third from the top and 1/3 in from the side. Well, I can do that. So if I jump back over to Camtasia, I can grab this item here at the top. So there's my other third. I'll grab this circle and just put that at the, oops, I want it at the intersection point. Of course, I have to have it on my actual video. There we go. There, perfect. So now I have snapped so that the left-hand, the left-hand part of the circle, the leftmost part of the circle, is at the rightmost part of this third, and the center of the circle is at the intersection of this top third and this right third. Okay, so if I move those off the screen and zoom in, now you can see this is what my screen would look like. And I think that looks pretty cool. And then I would put some sort of text over top of this, but it's not perfectly centered like I had it before. I think that looks cool. So that was just one of the things I was working on today. I thought that would be fun to show you how I'm getting these into perfect thirds, because some of us are very attentive to detail and they like those types of things. So thank you, TechSmith, for making our lives a little easier and getting us those exact numbers. I'm going to jump over to see if you have any questions. I don't see any questions in the chat. So that is it for me. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. Just a quick reminder, I'm not going to be here next week. So spend time with your family. Do something, I'm going to be with my family. You spend some time with your family, and I expect to see you the following week. Until then, thank you again. So long.